Thank you so much for welcoming me to your program, and I'm very excited to talk about Welcome Core. My name is Beyza. I'm the Community Engagement Officer at Community Sponsorship Hub, where I support our local and national outreach strategies and community engagement for the Welcome Core program. And I've been in this field for the past 7 years, leveraging my experience as an immigrant and also advocating for immigrants and in workforce development.
That is so awesome. That means we have something in common, right?
Yes.
It's not in Eritrea, but I think in Amharic in Ethiopia, there is a name Beyza. And somehow I forgot the meaning, but next time I'll find it. And let's know what it means, because when you said Beyza earlier, I was like, I felt like I was hearing a familiar
I think
name.
I've seen that name, but without the Y, it's Beza. Maybe
Yes.
it's like something similar.
So it's not coming to me right now, but I'll find out the meaning and we'll compare if there are similar meanings.
Yes, for sure.
Is there a name meaning?
What is it?
Is there a meaning?
Beza is the root is actually Arabic. It's Baiba, means bright light and bright white light. And it's adapted in Turkish as a Beza.
That's so
Also
cool.
means similar.
That's why you shine your light.
Try.
Everything, right? So we're Africans, so we believe in giving up to your name. So you're doing it.
I hope I am doing it.
So I just wanted to know, why don't we start from the beginning? Since this program came out, there's a website to go to read, but sometimes all new things could be a little bit confusing or overwhelming to even read and understand, especially when people really want something and then there's a lot of information. It could be overwhelming. So why don't we start with you telling us about Welcome Fork? Is that what you say? You don't even
It is. You don't add the S at the
S?
end.
How
Like
did I do
the
that?
Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, the other programs with the Department of State. Welcome Corps is just you drop the S at the end. But
Yeah,
it's okay. So also, I know that many people have that confusion at the beginning, so
I
it's
know.
all good.
I'm to say it with the S. Now I have learned within such few minutes. So tell us everything about Welcome Hope and how it
Yes.
started and what programs it has. Everything we need to know about the
Yeah,
organization.
so Welcome Core program was launched in January 2023 by the Department of State, and it is by a consortium of organizations, nonprofit organizations, mixed with refugee resettlement and other service organizations. And my organization, Community Sponsorship Hub, is the lead of that consortium. The program is essentially using the community sponsorship model, which allows Americans, private citizens, and individuals to come together as a group, say, hi, we would like to be part of refugee settlement. We would like to welcome a newcomer into our cities. It starts that way. They become a part of the refugee settlement program in the United States, implemented by the Department of State. And any 5 individuals through Welcome Core program, any 5 individuals who are citizens or permanent residents come together and form a group of 5 people and apply to our program to become a private sponsor group. And once they become a private sponsor group, they're matched with a refugee they don't know, or they can refer someone they know to the refugee settlement program. And basically, they sign up to support the individuals, the newcomers, in their first 90 days of resettlement. It is fantastic to tap into our communities and their generosity and their welcoming spaces and allow refugees to have that experience once they arrive to United States, to know 5 neighbors. And it helps a lot with the first days or months. We have that support. And private sponsor groups supports the newcomers, refugees with basic necessities, furniture, groceries, clothing, securing housing, or just, signing up in school, showing where the local park is, and helping with getting a driver's license. So anything you think someone may need on their first 90 days of arrival to a new country. Private sponsor groups are stepping in to support with that.
That's amazing. Something that I've always thought is missing. Although we have amazing nonprofits that help refugees and immigrants. In my experience as an immigrant, even though I didn't have any paper issue or anything, I struggled. Small things, like even enrolling your kid to school, requires you to understand the education system. And then, it takes time and you're new. And it's like, that is very important for people who have sponsorship. For green card, I had a sponsor who, for the green card, you can rely on them, right? But not the refugees. They don't have that. So I really, really loved this idea from the beginning. When I heard, I'm like, yes, someday, and you foster friendship because the people who are here also directly learn from the people that are coming in. I really think that's also missing. I felt until now that you get interaction and then you ask and you integrate. So there's both ways of integration. So I really, really love this idea. So can you tell us, and anybody can be a sponsor, or is there a requirement?
Yes, so who can be sponsored is that essentially they need to have a permanent status in the US. So that would mean they're either a permanent resident, a green card holder, or they're a citizen. They are over 18. So anyone who is over 18, permanent resident, or a city part of a sponsor group. And we require 5 individuals to come together to become a sponsor group. And then other requirements or things is that there's a background check for every sponsor, every individual's in the sponsor group. So they need to be able to pass that background check. And they also need to sign a commitment form that says, hi, I'm committing to deliver for services for the first 90 days of arrival to refugee individuals arriving. So those are the eligibility for our sponsors. As a group, there is a training that private sponsor groups needs to complete as per your application process. And then there's also a fundraising requirement, which is $2,425 per refugee individual being sponsored. So if it's 2 people in the party, it would be $4,480. I couldn't do the math. Sorry. I'm usually better at it. So it's times 2. Yeah. So completing these requirements, if all the individuals are able to complete these requirements, private sponsor essentially gets certified by us, saying that you are not certified, ready to welcome. I forgot to mention also, as part of the application, all the sponsor groups need to complete their welcome plan, which basically asks, okay, this person came. Where is your social security office? Do you know where it is? Because you need to bring this person to the social security office to get their social security card. Or, if they need to be applying for any benefits, do you know your local benefits office? If the individuals needs to get the kids in school, do you know where your public school nearby? So the welcome plan is really, really helpful for us to be able to say, okay, this group's really ready to welcome. So let's get them, certified. After completing those steps, our sponsor groups get certified, and then the refugee arrival starts.
I love it. I love the welcome package you talked about, because it's important that people know. If you don't have kids, how do you know the local school? All that stuff depends whether you needed it before or not. And believe it or not, when I first came, there were people who did not know some of this, places. It could be a little bit challenging. Actually, that's the understatement. It can be very terrifying.
Yeah,
because
it can be really challenging.
So I love it that you are actually making people be responsible. If they didn't know it before, then they research, or they go and they find out, they're ready to receive the person that is coming. So it's not just about coming here. That's hard too, but also thinking about what the person need, and if the person who is receiving them the information. It's not also just about having money or raising or whatever. So I really, really love that. And I think you guys have done a lot of homework before you did this.
Yeah, the program didn't come out of all of a sudden. There's a lot of global programs, or Canada has a community sponsorship program for the past 4 years. So there are different models. And then I don't know if viewers are more aware of their kind of small programs that happened maybe very recently. There was a sponsorship program for the Afghan arrivals, and then also Uniting for Ukraine was a model for a community sponsorship model program. And then there has been also co-sponsorship models before that. So all that formed decisions and modeling for this program. I also want to mention, and you also mentioned about like refugee resettlement organizations and other organizations in the ecosystem. And this is definitely a complementary and alternative pathway to, refugee settlement. And we do also benefit a lot from local resources, state offices. There's a lot of resources and support. And as part of the program, also our private sponsor groups are assigned to private sponsor organizations. These are organizations coming with a lot of knowledge on refugee resettlement or workforce development or other pieces, and they sign up to become a private sponsor organization to support our sponsor groups so that we are giving that of knowledge, resource, and support to people who are signing up to do this.
That's really amazing. And there are many organizations, that help in different areas, and but you are getting them right on the bat, but you're preparing the way before they even arrive here. That's really, really something I'm also very passionate about. One of the reasons of this channel is that so you prepare before they come. So I love it. And I know this is a very broad topic and we can go in one way and then we can go to the rabbit hole, I'd have you back again because it's just amazing to learn more about this organization. But because I have some questions from the community, I will start asking that. So I know that you have two kinds of program, right? Those who sponsor people who they don't know, and then those people who sponsor people they know. Can you tell us the difference in the process? And if someone can do both, how does that work?
Yeah, I would word it in a different way. It's one program, which is a Welcome Core program, a community sponsorship program, and there are two ways to welcome. And one way is private sponsor groups come together, 5 people, or also it can be more than 5 people. So it has to be at least 5 people. 5 people come together, form their group, and then they fill out their application. As we mentioned before, they have to sign the commitment form, complete the training, go through the background check, and raise funds for refugee arriving. And then once they go through the process and get certified, and this is for the sponsoring someone you don't know, once they go through the process and get certified, they are matched with a refugee who is already in the US refugee admissions program waiting to travel. So they get assigned to someone who's ready to travel to United States. So sometimes it's really fast, happens really fast, like in a month, you get certified and then you're like, okay, this person's coming in 2 months. And then you're like, okay, we're going to start getting ready. One thing about the sponsor someone you don't know, actually you can indicate some preferences in your application. Let's say you have a specific capacity. If I was forming a sponsor group, I can say, hi, I would like to sponsor someone who knows Turkish because I know Turkish, I can help them. Or it can be any other language. Or if the sponsor group has a preference about a nationality, they can also indicate that in their application. Or they can indicate a family size. Let's say they can say, we can sponsor only 2 people because we don't have capacity to do more. Or we can sponsor someone with kids or without kids. So it's all of those put into consideration. We are trying to make the matching. And depends on the preferences, it can take a little bit more time to find that match, but essentially sponsors are just sponsoring, and we always help you keep an open mind. I think if it's not for a specific capacity, I would recommend definitely to sponsors to keep an open mind and just, say, okay, send whoever it is. Well, we're here and ready. But yes, so they form a sponsor group, they go through the process, they get certified. If they have specific preferences, we find a match for them. And then they're informed that the refugee will be arriving and the date, and then the preparations of finding housing and getting clothing or furniture, food, and making that coordination happens. And then refugee arrives and the 90-day starts. So that's the first with welcoming.
Sorry, before we
Yes.
go to the second one, I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask, is there a commitment
Time commitment per week or
for sponsoring? Are they responsible for how long for these people
They're-
that sponsoring?
yes, all sponsors are responsible for the first 90 days of arrival. So it's 3 months. And that's the same time actually refugee resettlement agencies have for resettling refugees through refugee resettlement agency and caseworker. So the 90 days of services are pretty standard, have been a standard part of the refugee resettlement in the United States for quite some time for the traditional resettlement. So we're using the same model for the sponsors as well. Of course, we know that everyone becomes a friend and a neighbor, so no one, stops talking to each other unless they really, don't want to talk to anymore. But we know that stay connected with the newcomers beyond 90 days. The responsibility of the commitment is only for the first 90 days.
That's beautiful. I would let you go to the second one. Thank you for that.
So the second way for people to welcome a refugee is sponsoring someone they know. We're aware that, in the diaspora communities in the United States or other communities as well, there are people who know someone who are forcibly displaced and they're a refugee in another country and they're waiting to be resettled. So for those cases, we are allowing our sponsor groups to name someone they know. There is certain eligibility criteria for this. It's a long list. I can read it. I can talk about it now. And I will say that the most up-to-date information is always on our website. So if there's changes after this recording, everyone should go to the website and to welcomecorps.org and sponsor someone you know and read through. But basically what is required from the individuals, groups can sponsor a specific refugee individual or a family they already know of any nationality. So there's no restriction for individuals' nationality. They can be from any country. And then they should meet the criteria that I will be talking about. So they should meet the definition of a refugee under US law, which can be found online. They live outside of their country of nationality. So, for someone who's Syria, they should be out of Syria in another country. They live in a country, the current country they're in is somewhere where US government is able to interview and process their cases. The individual who's going to be sponsored should be at least 18 years old, or if they're a child, they're being referred with a parent. And if it's a group of people, they should intend to live as a household in the United States. So groups can apply to sponsor more than one person. It can be a group of up to 10 people, actually. And we're aware that sometimes, families don't look the same in every culture or in every situation. So this is very unique for the program that we don't require for individuals who are in the group together, refugee individuals who are being sponsored. And if it's a more than, one refugee, if it's a group of refugees, they don't have to be a nuclear family. It can be, cousins or grandparents and mom and kid. So if sponsor groups are interested in sponsoring a refugee group they know, the group can be a combination of different individuals in a family, but they should intend to live as a household in the United States. So once they are here, we expect them to live together as a unit, as a household as well. So that's one of the eligibility criteria. And then their last two is that they have not been previously denied for resettlement to the United States through the refugee admissions program. This is not, a tourist visa. They applied before tourist visa and then they got denied. That doesn't count. This is for specifically United States refugee admissions program. They have not been previously denied. And then we ask for proof of registration. Of course, we want to see that the individuals were out of their country of nationality before September 30, 2023, and they were registered by UNHCR or the country where they are in right now as a refugee or as an asylum seeker in that country, not in the United States, but in wherever the country that they are. Let's say, I think one of the examples we have are like coming to my mind, an Afghan individual who were displaced before September 30, and they're in Pakistan. And they have a documentation that shows that they registered there as a refugee. So that's the proof of registration we're asking for the groups to provide to us so that we know that this person is eligible. There is a lot more nuance and differences to these eligibility criteria. This is just an overall summary of it. I highly, highly recommend individuals who are interested in sponsoring They Know to go to our website and to read through Sponsor Someone You Know page really, really well, because there's a list of countries we cannot process out of. There are different proof of registration documents for individuals we accept beyond the UNHCR or the country of residence where the registration. And also we have a refugee eligibility tool, which this tool really helps to identify whether this person you're interested in sponsoring eligible or not. It's a set of questions. The first question starts with, is this person out of their country of nationality? And then you click yes, and then you go to the other question. And by answering those questions, you can determine if the individual you're interested in is eligible or not. With changes and these nuances and differences, I highly recommend individuals to visit welcomecore.org and get most up-to-date information that way.
That's beautiful, because the eligibility can help people, because sometimes people don't even try to fill out something online because they don't know, like, oh, what if it registers everything or whatever. So you're saying to do that actually can eliminate a lot of questions that we have by going to your website. That's